So for today's video, I'm going to start a Viking Seax for a customer. Going to be more of a traditional Seax. It'll be a full tang. I believe he wants to use it. By me using it, I believe he wants to go camping with it and stuff. So I'm going to have a full tang with a leather wrapped handle. I'm going to use one of my antique saw blades again. Very basic design, very easy. We'll get that cut out. I'll get it drawn out. We'll get it cut out. And then we'll go about normalizing it so I can put the bevel. We'll do hammer tone like I did with the knife yesterday, which is still, I'm working on the handle right now. So I'm going to get started on this Seax. Okay, so real quick, the reason why I want to make it out of the saw blade is due to the fact that it's a little thinner, it's a little easier to work with. I have a lot of farrier rasps. These are pretty thick, and they make really good knives. Once you normalize them and bring them down, you're able to work with them. The only issue I have with these is how thick they are. There's a lot of time and effort into getting one of these down to a decent thickness to put a bevel on. So if I could find one that was, you know, of a decent thickness. These are all old antiques that I got from people have given to me. I've got some larger files. This doesn't really, the shape of this really isn't what you want for a Seax. I have some lawnmower blades that I've made knives out of as well before. These make decent knives. This is really good steel. You throw it in the forge, beat it flat, and then cut your shape out of it. The only thing with these is you're only, with the exception of this hole, you only have so much material to work with. So I usually make the smaller knives out of these ones. So I think what I'm going to do is maybe I will normalize one of these farrier rasps and make the knife out of this, because like I said, I think you want some weight to it, and I can integrate the handle right into it and then leather wrap it, and I think it'll be a nice knife. I think it'll be a nice touch. So yeah, maybe I will use one of these farrier rasps. This I think would be a nice size here. It's not too long, maybe 12 inches long, 13 inches long. I think this would be a pretty good candidate for making the Seax. So we'll see here. Maybe I'll wire brush this one of these up and throw a little shape on it, design, and see if I like it. Okay, I think I found the one I'm going to use. This is a Nicholson. I don't know. This is a Nicholson type rasp type file. It's got a nice size to it. I wanted to leave a piece on the back side here so your hand don't slip. And I think it'd be kind of neat is I could put the Nicholson, I can leave the Nicholson in there and start the handle design up in here, and then come down and make the Seax end on this end. A little bit narrower Seax, but at the same time, I think it might be kind of cool with a leather wrapped handle. So I think this is the one I'm going to use. So what I just got a quick reference of about where I want. This will be my butt end that I was talking about. I'll leave this here. This will give me a nice little butt on the bottom so as to not slide off. I got some buckskin that I will wrap this in with buckskin and dye it. We cut the end off here in a traditional Seax, and then it'll give him a good 6 or 7 inch blade, I think, which I think would be more than sufficient for what he wants to do. And again, it's repurposing something old that I picked up at a rummage sale. People pick these up for me when they see them. So I've got literally nothing into this blade right now except for my time. So yeah, this is how we're going to do this. I'm going to normalize this blade, and then I'm going to cut it out, and I'll come back and show you where we're at. Okay, so again, change of plans. I do this a lot. I change my mind. I don't think that that rasp was thick enough this way. So I'm normalizing anyways. I'll use that for another knife, maybe a smaller style Seax-ish knife with the integrated handle like I planned. So I went back to my original plan of using the Sawblade. I got my length cut out, my tip for the Seax. What I'm doing now is I got to cut this radius. You can do it like this, you know, taking the angle grinder and kind of shaping. That usually works better if you've got a much wider radius that you're trying to do. So what I'm doing here is I'm just making little slices, and I'll do that on both sides. And I'll come with the grinder and knock most of that out. And then I'll be able to use my flap disc or my little bench grinder there, belt grinder, and shape this out and then shape the end of this. And when I get that done, I will I'll come back and show you. Okay, so you can see where I have the roughed out shape of the handle. You see the couple of little slots left there, or slices in there. I'm going to take this over to the belt sander and shape this handle a little bit, and then we will get ready to throw the blade in the forge and normalize it so I can put the bevels on a little bit easier. I may drill a hole up here. Might do something cool with a rawhide lanyard or something. But there's the basic shape of the Seax, and I think it looks pretty good. I think it's a little more what he was looking for. So let me get this handle shaped up, and I'll come back and show you the progress. Okay, so here is the shape of the blank. Now that I've put it on the belt sander, and I've got my shape here for my handle. Actually fits really nice. Little thin, nice thickness for a blade. What I think I'm going to do, because this is going to be leather wrapped or buckskin wrapped, I think I might take, once I normalize this, I will quench just the blade. I will leave the handle unquenched, so if there's any chopping that you might want to do while camping, it doesn't want to crack here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of flat bar, and I will tack it, or I'll weld it to both sides of this right here. And then when I wrap it with the leather, it'll cover, or the buckskin, but it'll give me just a little bit more meat on that handle. And the mild steel will help strengthen this back here in the handle area for chopping, but it won't cause any stress or cracks like that. So this should be a pretty strong blade when I'm done with it. I'm really digging the shape. I think it turned out nice, and we're going to normalize the blade now, and then I will do my ball peen hammer tone to each side to give this a really rustic look. Because as we know, I'm sure the Vikings didn't have everything we have now to get these things mirror, you know, shiny like a mirror and whatnot. So I like the rusticness of it, and I think it'll look pretty good once we get the hammer tone in there. So once I get the hammer tone in there, I will come back and show you. So the blade, I went and threw the blade in the forge, did my hammer tone, put my little maker's mark, my initials there on each side. Did a little hammer tone on the end down here where that end will be exposed. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put our bevel guide on here. It's actually our plunge guide. What this does is it goes on the blade like so, and it ensures that when I put the bevels on here with the grinder, that the plunge line is in the same spot on each side. So I'm going to do that now, and we'll start putting a bevel on it. And I'll be back in a bit to show some progress on that. So as you can see, the bevels are going on pretty nicely. This is a kind of a time-consuming process. As I said, some of the other buoys that I made, I've heated up the blade in the forge, and while it's red hot, I would beat along this edge to beat the bevel in, and it takes a quarter of the time to put the bevels on and get a decent edge. But when you do that, you start to, the metal starts to stretch and go whatever direction that your hammer, as you're beating on it with the hammer, it'll tend to stretch and want to curl. And that looks fine for a Bowie knife. I like that because it kind of puts a natural curve to it. And then I put the bevel on with that. But this being a Seax, these are usually straighter knives. They have a real straight square profile. So that's why I'm taking the time to grind these in on the grinder. So when I get a little bit closer, I'll show again. Also, I don't go way up with my plunge lines way up here. Like I said, I build rustic knives. If you look at actual antique knives, the plunge lines don't go way up here. That's I think that was an aesthetic thing that people do with that high grind, it's called. It looks fine on some knives, but I like building rustic knives. I like building a knife that when you look at it, you think it was made, you know, back in the day, ancient knife, whatever. So I usually don't go that high. Plus, you start to lose a lot of this. Like I said, there's some guys out there that make them knives and they look good. I prefer to keep my plunge grind or my grinds down a bit. This will come up a bit as I go in, but it will not be way up here in the top of the knife where I lose all of this. So, okay, so here I've got the grinds, the bevel's done. Like I said, if you can see that pretty good here. I like the texture in the blade. Honestly, you get what I make as the blade maker. I make what I like and then I sell it. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a little meat to this handle. This blade is going to be, I put a convex edge on it to start. That'll be good for any type of chopping that you might want to do. I don't think you need a really gigantic, heavy, thick blade. They become somewhat cumbersome. This will be a nice, light, swift knife that he'll be able to chop with and do what he wants to do while camping. But I am going to put a piece of flat bar on each side here, just to give that handle a little more meat to it. And then when I buckskin wrap it, it should be a nice feel. So I'm going to weld the flat bar to each side here, and then we'll probably throw it in the forge and heat treat the blade to this point here. We will leave the handle, like I said, soft, so there's some flex. And I may just heat treat this area here so it keeps an edge, so this spine is soft, so it doesn't want to crack. So I'll be back. Okay, so I got the flat bar added to the handle here. Gives it a really nice weight now. Balanced very well. I know some of you might be thinking, Norm, why are you going to put the weight in the end? This is the reason why. Still very well balanced, as you can see. So this will be a very nice knife. Like I said, I do have real buckskin that I will wrap this in to give it a nice comfortable feel. I rounded the edges off of the flat bar, so to give it a softer feel when I do wrap. So I may even take a little bit of JB weld and maybe fit it in here, you know, a little bit in here, just to smooth it out a bit. And when I go to wrap, that will give it a nice ergonomic feel, is the word I'm looking for. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to quench this blade, and then I will be done out here in the shop, and I will start with the handle. Once the handle is all done, I'll put the finish edge on it. I may do it by hand. I may do it the belt sander with a 220, 225 grit is usually what I go to. I like that. I like that. Just gives it a nice blade. So let me quench this, and we'll come back in a bit. So we're out of the quench. You can see the scale that builds up from the oil and whatnot. So what I'm going to do now is I will clean this off with some brake cleaner to get the forge oil off of it, or the quench oil off of it, and then I'll hit it with a 120, 220 to bring some of the chrome or polished metal back, and then the rest will stay that black and give it that rustic forge look that there's a name for it, root the forge or something. So when I get done with that, we'll be back, and then I believe we're done for the day, as I have to cut strips of the buckskin and whatnot, and I think I'm gonna wait till tomorrow to do that. So I will post another video or with that after I'm done with this video here. Okay, so like I said, I cleaned a lot of the mill scale off on the bench on the belt sander with the 120 grit. This brought out, like I said, the polished areas, but leaves the black inside the hammer marks. Brute de Forge is what I was looking for before. So I like that look. So like I said, this is basically done now. I have to, of course, wrap the handle, and then I will put the finished edge on it. As I said before, this is more of a convex edge. This will slice paper to a certain point until the edge gets a little wide and it'll want to rip. There was a method for that. Like I said, this is so a convex edge is sharper, stronger, I mean, and you can chop into wood with it and whatnot. So he could use it to chop kindling, stuff like that when he's camping. So I wanted to give a stronger edge, and that's what the convex edge does. So this will be a sharp knife. You're not going to slice through a piece of copy paper, all the way to the edge, due to the fact that it is a little bit thicker in order to give it strength for chopping. So that's it for today. I will post another video once I start the handle in the sheath, and a quick update on the 883 in the softtail frame. I've got the warbird taillight and the bayonet are here. So as soon as I get that stuff, I'll out in the garage here, I will post a video with updates on that. So like I said, I'm new to this. I'm giving it a shot. If you guys like what I'm doing, let me know. I think I got a little better setup here today. I made a little stand or whatever for my camera. It is still kind of hard to film everything I do because I don't have a stand and whatnot. And the time it took today to make this and put the bevel and everything else on, even time lapse, it would have been a very long video. So here's like I said, this is the finished product, or soon to be. You can see the Brute de Forge in the blade. I think it turned out pretty good, and I think once the buckskin is wrapped around the handle and dyed, I think it will have a very authentic Viking Seax look. Thanks again.